Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Jacob's Ladder. I hope you're all incredibly buckled up and ready to go. As per usual, I am your host, Jacob, and welcome one and welcome all. Oh my goodness, do I have a fun show planned for all of you today? Are you excited? Tell me in the live chat if you're excited, because I am certainly excited. Take a look at this thumbnail. What's going on? We got things happening that we talked about years and years ago. We got new magazine covers coming out that need to be decoded. We got so much to get to. I just can't contain myself. So I say, welcome one, welcome all to this absolutely incredibly bonkers program. Let's talk for a second about the internet, shall we? Do you remember who created it? Do you know? Tell me in the live chat if you remember. A lot of you are very excited as well. You feel the dance of the sugar plum fairies going? That's because I found the music to play, because I thought it would be very apropos, because there's a spell that's been cast on the land. A lot of people thought that, guess what? They thought that it was the government that created the internet. Oh no, my friends. Oh no. The internet was created by CERN. You know CERN. Somebody just sent me a very interesting little DM where there was a picture of some incredible portal that opened up over CERN. So they say. A lot of weird things. If you don't know what the collider is, it's a place where they take particles and they speed them up so fast and then they smash into each other and they create all sorts of weird things, like black holes, other dimensions, like on record. So when we started talking about things like the Mandela Effect, which means, there could be some funny business going on when we start talking about that, and we connect the dots with CERN, we think, oh, maybe there's something weird. So I find it incredibly interesting and ironic that it wasn't DARPA or our government, or some people thought it was Al Gore. It wasn't any of them. You know what it was? It was CERN. That's right. It was developed in 1989 by Tim Berners-Lee. This is an old school Mandela Effect, one that I always thought was something that I found very interesting, especially because, the World Wide Web, WWW, right? WWW in Hebrew is 666. I don't know if you knew this. I don't know if you knew it. But doesn't it feel like we're in some alternate dimension, like some weird reality? You saw the title of the video, right? He's Christmas and Easter all wrapped up together in one. That's right, we're talking about the Trumpster. We're talking about the Trumpster. Orange Jesus, as one of his, close people in the Republican Party called him. He must do what Orange Jesus says. Orange all over the news for whatever reason. The Clockwork Orange being a film about crazy mind control. And it feels like we're all under some crazy witchcrafty spell. Is it just me? I don't think I'm the only one that feels like there's some hocus pocus going on. Well, speaking of hocus pocus, let's talk about Mr. Musk. And he actually put out this tweet again about the Roman dictator known as Sulla. Oh yes, Sulla. There is no better friend and no worse enemy than Mr. Sulla himself, who, by the way, was known for civil war. Now, why do I know this? Because a couple of years ago, if you look at that center tweet, you'll see Elon tweeted this out. No better friend, no worse enemy. That was just December 18th, 2023. But look what he tweeted back in 2021. No better friend, no better enemy. And he's got the clause there. He has a list. He's checking it twice. He knows who's been naughty or nice. guess who's coming to town? And what did I say? I said it's the Trumpster. I say it's Santa Trump. That's what I say. He's probably got his reindeer too. But I said this can't be a coincidence. Because here we're talking about the fall of Rome. The fall of civilization I talked about now in 2021. And I expressed how Trump was very, very much like this Sulla character. Sulla, who, once again, is known for the Civil War that took place. Full-scale Civil War that took place. The timing I find very incredibly interesting, right? So why don't we go back? Why don't we look at just a little clip that I shared on X? By the way, if you're on X, look me up. It's Jacob Israel 71. We'll be buds. You could reach out to me. You can @ Jacob me, tell me you follow me, and I will follow you back. All right. So here we go. Let's play this. Let me make sure that the audio is on, and take a look. So before we even start, I wrote on December 11th, Elon predicting the next world leader, Lucius Cornelius Sulla. A ruthless military commander, Sulla eventually seized control of the Republic and said, I'm going to be the dictator. That's right. I'm the chosen one. I'm the best. That's me. And after eliminating all of his enemies, he initiated actually crucial reforms, believe it or not. Some say that he was a good thing in the overall landscape of world events, but you be the judge. So Elon puts out that goofy Satan clause and this ruler, Lucius Cornelius, right? So of course, I got to look this up. I'm like, hey, why would he put that guy out there? And of course I look at him and I go, he kind of looks like somebody that we know. And you tell me who you think this is. I mean, he does kind of look like him, right? I mean, I'm stopping for a sec, but he does, right? There's a little... Right? I'm just saying they're handsome people, with the orange hair. I'm not saying that's the case, but Elon, it seemed to be like he was in a roundabout way saying that guy's coming soon. Santa's coming soon, right? Satan Claus is coming soon. And this guy is coming soon. He actually wrote, he says, there's no better friend, no better ally, no worse enemy. Does that sound like somebody you know? So I wrote on Twitter, Elon predicting the next world leader. Was he? I don't know. But it kind of felt like he's in on the know. He knows everything, right? So when he's putting this out and he says coming to town soon, and I've been saying on the channel, I feel like 2022, we're going to see a lot of disruption. Coming soon, maybe. Elon predicting the next world ruler, Lucius Cornelius Sulla. By the way, he was a ruthless military commander. And he even seized control of the Republic and then named himself the dictator. That's right, I'm the best. I'm the guy. I'm going to run the show. And after eliminating all of his enemies, initiated crucial reforms. And then I wrote, hey, we may know him already. We want somebody to come in and change things with how about them apples, huh? Sulla. Yo, yeah. It's going to be one of those shows. I saved some really crazy stuff. For all of you newcomers, you're going to be like, oh, that's very strange. It's very strange that he talked about these things and said these things almost identically. It's very strange that he would share certain things, and then here we are years later, and they're happening. It's weird. But you haven't even gotten to weird yet. So do me a favor, will you? We got like almost 1,000 people here. I'm a generous guy. Hit the like for me. Will you? Take a second to hit the like. You know what it does? It gets more people coming. And we need more people to come, so that we could talk about this madness that's happening in the mystical mountains known as Colorado. Oh yeah, this is going to be something. This is heading into all sorts of uncharted territory. The Supreme Court, what happened? The Supreme Court, well, shut it down. Said no, you can't do that, can't do this. And hang on a second, let's just answer this call for a second. This is the Dan. She always forgets. Hi, honey, I'm doing a show right now. We're talking about crazy things, so I'll see you in a little while. I love you. All right, that was the Dan. I knew she was going to call. I really should have told her ahead of time. But it is what it is. It's always fun to hear from the Dan. It's Friday, so I'm trying to get this show done before she gets here. We got some time. We got a lot of stuff to get into. Supreme Court shooting down the Trumpster, saying, no, you can't be on the ballot. You're done. But you know what? Today's news is pretty much, this is more blah, 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 666. That's what that is, the blah, 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 by the way. It's more 666. Look it up. The Supreme Court that he basically transformed, they're going to have a say in all of this stuff, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. When you have magazines like the Economist magazine putting out their covers where you see Trump basically eclipsing half of the world, because of course that eclipse is coming up. The great American eclipses. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into all sorts of kooky things. The eclipse, he's known for this picture when he was looking all up, right? That's a great meme, by the way, of the Trumpster. He was looking up at that, the eclipse. The eclipse is a big deal, the great American eclipse. Marked off, an X over the United States, gave us a period of time, about 7 years. It was like exactly 6 years, 6 months, 6 weeks, and 6 days in between these eclipses that met at a crux. You know what? I wasn't going to get to this yet, but you know what? Let me pull it up so you can actually look at the eclipse and you can see what I'm talking about. I have this somewhere here. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I'll pull this over for you and you can just take a look. It's basically the Great American Eclipse. I've done shows about this. That show up there is going on almost 3 years, where it says December 14th eclipse may begin Jacob's time of trouble. And if you look, there's the Revelation 12:11, because there are literally 1,211 days in between these two eclipses. So after the first eclipse, we knew that I told everybody that we were going to be in for some trouble. I kind of gave everybody like the warning. But then after the second one, the one that we just recently had, I reminded everybody how this is something that is incredibly significant. This X over the United States was saying basically that a judgment was coming. Trump was actually even featured on the judgment card. And in between that and you'll see then the release the Kraken, release Satan. Do you remember them saying, all around when this thing happened, they're like the Kraken was going to be released, and it got everybody so worked up that they were thinking, this is going to be, it was like everybody was under a goofy spell. And I told everybody, whatever you do, don't go there on the 6th of January, stay out of the mess, warned everybody, because it's like, it seems like there's something going on. But, the release the Kraken was like a big deal. And I said the Kraken was a judgment. It was a sea monster, a judgment that was coming on the world. And that happened literally in between these two eclipses, which I said it would probably be December 14th, would start this time of trouble, this like 3.5 year period of time that we're coming out of. And guess what? You know what happened on that day? The Krakadoo, the Krakenadoo. That was the first thing to go. That's something, right? So these eclipses are significant and they're connected to all of the things that are happening, especially with Trump. Now, once again, maybe I'm completely wrong. I don't know. This is like the way my mind as a writer works. And I try to look at the symbols and I try to, dissect and extrapolate the deeper meaning, the deeper spiritual meaning. And it seems like, over the years, we've gotten some stuff right. I don't think that this is going to be this ballot thing. I don't think you should worry about it too much. I I'd like to remind everybody that on one of the Economist magazine covers, we just talked about this on one of the past shows, ballots were like all over it. Both ballots had like the X on it. This is, I feel like, I mean, it may literally be happening. I mean, I think it says, they say it's literally happening, but I'm saying from a spiritual perspective, I wouldn't sweat this. I feel like it's all kind of pre-planned, whether it's pre-planned by, dark forces or good forces, who knows? But I think ultimately God's in charge of the whole thing. I think the world ahead is going to be definitely one that is going to be overshadowed by the Trumpster. And I mean, I could be wrong, so far so good. So far, everything I've said was, this is interesting. All of this stuff happened around a time called the solstice. Do you know what the winter solstice? You've probably heard of that. It's that's basically, it's good news because it's the longest and the darkest night. The darkest and the longest night. Now, I've been talking about the darkest and the longest night recently when we had all of the athletes getting their Achilles tendon snapped. You probably remember me talking about, Aaron Rodgers got his Achilles tendon snapped. It was like everybody, one after the other. We still only have like 100 people hit the like. That's so strange to me. Could just be on my end, but listen, I thank you for doing that. Thank you for taking the time to do that because it's important. It gets more people here and then it helps me because then I can reach more people. So all these Achilles tendons, they started snapping, right? It was like a weird thing. The soccer player, Megan Rapinoe, remember we talked about her Achilles tendon snapped. I had the revelation that Jacob from the Bible, everybody thought it was the hollow of his hip, that his hip went out of socket, but I just had a weird vibe and I looked it up and I did the research and it turns out it was actually his Achilles tendon that snapped. It snapped at the longest and the darkest of days. I think who hears what I'm saying? Lone is saying rebirth and renewal. That's what I'm saying. The longest and the darkest of night. Then what happens? It starts to get a little brighter, a little more sun. A little more sun comes to the summer. That's the solstice. We've passed the darkest night. We've moved on from the darkest and the longest night. This is good news. But let's talk about just the symbolism of all of this stuff because it is, it's got a lot of people very stressed out. Are any of you stressed out? You could tell me in the comment section if this is bothering you. I find it to be just great theater. Theater that I believe seems very unfortunate. But at the same time that all this theater is going on, I did say 2023 and especially going into 2024, if they be corrupt, we would see massive amounts of, right? How many people in the live chat and in the comment section have I been saying that soon God is going to put everything, all the corruption on blast? Look at what's happening now on the Senate floor. It wasn't just one incident. Somebody said they had cages. What's his name from Long Island? Santos, the guy who, once again, another corrupt guy, he gets booted. A lot of people are being booted. A lot of people are being indicted. People are being blown away. Some of the revelations of some of the people. Vin Diesel did some horrible stuff, they're saying, allegedly. T.D. Jakes, allegedly. But all of this stuff, I think, is connected to all of this stuff. There's something going on. Now, the word insurrection, if you think about it, it really just means to rise up. It's come to mean a terrible thing. But what is it? It's the insurrection ban. Banning of the rising up. Do you see that? Do you see that? Like even in the words, the world will twist something into meaning something, but really it's a ban on rising up, Christ rising, if you will. And that's why we see the story being played out with Trump. We're literally going to see the story play out. This is, like I've said, I've told you, he's been given a crown of Jerusalem. He's been called Cyrus. He's minted on a coin. The things that I'm going to share about him just are so bizarre and incredibly interesting, from how many days, how many years, 70 years, 7 months, 7, this, that, born on a blood moon, all of these interesting coincidences. They follow this man, the Trump of God. Think about that for a second. It's like even in the Bible. This is a cool story. I like the resurrection story too, No. I do. I see everybody right now in the live chat. I'm glad that you're all here. Thank you for hitting the like. We're starting to do things that help. You better watch out. You better not pout. Is an Antichrist coming to town? That was a video that I did just a little while ago, where you see clearly that Trump is, I want to say Satan Claus. I'm having a problem saying Santa, but I keep saying Satan Claus. But no, that he is the Christmas surprise. Make Xmas X Mass great again. And here he is being compared to Christmas. Like, is there going to be a Christmas? That's my question. Are we going to see like a Christmas surprise? That's what I'm waiting for. Like today, tomorrow, who knows? A Christmas miracle. That's what everybody wants. Why wouldn't they do that? As Troy is pointing out, yes, Mary, Christ, the connection, his parents, all of that stuff. It's all very wonderful. Now, when he was, axed from the ballot, okay, he went and he did a speech. And you know where he did the speech? He did it in Waterloo. Now, the movie Napoleon is getting terrible reviews, right? You see how this all works together? It's very strange that Napoleon's out right now. But Waterloo, the Battle of Waterloo, between the French army and the coalition led by a duke, the decisive battle of its age, it concluded a war that had raged for, there's that number, 23 years, ending French's attempt to dominate Europe and destroyed Napoleon's imperial power forever. The Battle of Waterloo. And here he's speaking at Waterloo, Iowa. Some of the things he said, wow. Like, he really came at the old, the old Biden. He was no joking. He was no joking around with that. He even said that the radical left rigged the presidential election. He said this. Said it again. He's like doubling down on all this stuff. I was thinking as I was driving over here to start loading more of the show and everything else after I was at the gym this morning. Do you think he bears any responsibility? Like maybe feeling a little bit bad because somebody set a trap, right? That's what they're all saying. It looks like there were people that were, I don't know. I asked a question a long time ago, but don't you think he should probably feel a little responsible? I think he should, right? He did kind of say, thank you, AJ. Appreciate the super chat. He did kind of say, he said, come on, let's go over there. Let's. It's like, and here's a good question for you. Who gave them the permits? Who gave them the permits? The story was being played out was that he was going to be betrayed, right, by Judas, which, of course, we got Pence. You remember Pence? Remember he got this coin? Somebody said that it's the coin to the right. I don't know. This is something that's going around. Basically, that's the coin of a high priest in a Masonic order. I don't know. This could all be fake news. I think what it was a challenge coin, but it does certainly kind of look like that coin. But, he played his part, right? He played his part, betrayed him. Then what ends up happening? He lost it all. Trump lost it all, right? He was betrayed and he was put to death. And now he's about to rise again. Now, this wouldn't be so weird. If they weren't literally saying this was trending yesterday. Who saw that this was trending and thought, that's strange? That's a strange thing to be trending. Yeah, I was literally blown away by this. RIPDON. Now, that's Brian Krasenstein. He's like a big influencer on X. Him and his brother, they have podcasts and everything else. I don't know. Like, I think one's on one side, one's on the other side. They're twins. You know, they both follow me, which I think is cool. You know, I think that's cool. I don't know why they follow me, but they do. But he wrote the number of people who claim to have been excited about this trend, this RIP Don trend, which, you know, I don't know if you noticed, they were sharing that picture with the casket. That's to the left. Now look to my video, literally 3 years, 2 months, and 11 days beforehand, where Trump's looking down and he's looking into the casket with the words, will they try to fake it? Because of the dream I had. Remember this dream? Who remembers the dream? If you're all new, this is gonna blow your mind. This is one of my favorite weird things that happened from my weird dreams. But this was the big thing. And there were people that were like trying, one of them was saying, you know, are you all pushing the Simpsons narrative hard, huh? Meanwhile, I shared the Simpsons thing right there above in 2020. Now, mind you, that was before the election. So at the time when everybody was like, all the prophets of God were saying, he's going to win by a landslide. It will be like, you know, it'll be like a shutout. They were all saying that the Lord told them, the Lord told them. Now they're all trying to jump back on the thing and say, well, we told you, but we didn't know when it was going to happen. And we still don't know if it's going to happen. But I had a vibe that something was going to happen because I had this weird dream. And you know what? I'll just play you I'll play it for you for, you know, it's only a minute. Let's play this so that you can remember the old days back in, I'll play that. That was his speech, by the way. Here we go. All right. So I wrote this, yesterday, Rest in Peace Don, is trending on X. Before the election, I told everyone he would lose, but he'd be back stronger than ever based on a dream I had. I said, we've been biding our time. I've been saying this. And it's, I think it's just all so incredibly wonderful. Let me turn on the volume and let's just watch this and let's see what happens. So I have a dream. It's a very strange dream. I don't pay much attention to it. In the dream, and it was a couple of them, but this one was the one that stood out the most. In the dream, I, for some reason, was like with one arm was carrying like the casket of our president. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was open. But on the left-hand side of me, there was our president. So it was very strange. There was like, you know, it was one in the casket with the casket wide open. There was also, I remember there being like, I noticed there was moss on the bottom of the casket, moss that was growing there. But in the dream, you know, the president was smiling, he was laughing, he was having a great old time. And here I am carrying this, and I didn't understand. I'm like, oh! And then I woke up and I'm like, oh, I get it. It's going to be like a fake thing, right?
Weird,
so I have
right?
a dream.
I mean, that's weird. I find that to be very strange. I find it to be strange. Lord wants to know if I'm saying Trump is the Antichrist. No. If you watch that video and other videos, I tell everybody who the Antichrist is. The Antichrist is it's very clear in Scripture. In the book of John, it says the Antichrist, there are many Antichrists in the world. I know everybody wants to point the finger and to like pick one person. I say whoever is in charge is exactly what God placed in charge of us. We've been wicked. The world, this country, people are hateful. They're still hateful, and they're hating in the name of God, like on a regular basis. Everybody thinks that there's going to be this big, you know, like this big solo civil war thing. Maybe we can use our words and say, no, that's not going to happen. What's going to happen is a lot of corruption is going to be revealed, and there'll be a change of power, and then, you know, God's day will be at hand. I don't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy or anything else. I will say that a tree is known by its fruit. And I do believe that, you know, like that incredibly spooky occult artist that you know very well named Marina said that he is like, you know, going to be a great wizard or something that's going to wake up the world. And he just so happens to have that MAGA hat. I don't know. He is, you know, the Wizard of Oz. Dr. Oz, he was the Wizard of Oz. He didn't do a great job there, but I think that's because John the Fettered Man need to come in. We're going to talk about him at the end of the show too. But, you know, so I had that dream. I came and I told her, I don't know what's going to happen. The day of the election, I put out this thing. I said, oh my God, I have a feeling it's going to be really close. And I said, my worst case scenario would be that he says it doesn't happen, that it was like a big fake thing. Because how could you not think that when the internet only force-fed you videos of Biden talking to people in circles, like 50 of them. And then you see Trump, no one's wearing a mask and everything. Like there's just like hundreds of thousands of people. Like how could he possibly lose? It was like it was forced down our throat for so long. You know what else was forced down our throat? The whack-a-dack-a-doo. Warp speed. So I think of these things when people ask me, oh, is he going to be this? Is he going to be that? He's going to be judgment. That's why he's sitting on a card. What does that mean to me? I don't know. I'm going to continue to follow God and judge a tree by its fruit. But it's clear that he was cut off from everything. And if you've watched, I've done shows about, Mason is Samson. I compared Trump to Samson. There was that beehive that was found in the middle of Times Square. And that Times Square was now like like New York City was like a husk of what it was. It was like it's a skeleton of like Trump, the lion. He's Samson and he gets so upset. He comes and he... So I don't want to say that he's a bad guy because I don't know. I know that God's going to use him for whatever reason, just as he uses all of us. But I do know that a lot of correction is going to come. And I do know that they're signaling a resurrection, if you will. Now, I know that he is very fond of being a dictator and thinking, he would love to be one. He's talked about this, and he says, just for 5 minutes, he said, which was, I thought, pretty funny, and he's somebody that thinks that, that's probably a better way to go, G squared, thank you so much. My goodness, you are just such a great support to me, man. Thank you very much. God bless you. By the way, all you, when you leave your super chats or your super thanks, which I see later, anything that you do, to support the channel, I'm very grateful for it. I thank you all. During the live shows, some people say, I shouldn't be shouting people out, but I want, if I see it, I'm grateful. Thank you. This is not an easy gig. And I'll tell you one thing, unless you become a much bigger influencer, unless you maybe cut some, weird deals with some companies, I was making just as much money selling mattresses. So I do appreciate your support. But this is the new one. This is the holiday double issue from The Economist magazine. I know a lot of people are going to be decoding this, so I want to be like one of the first to come on out here and tell everybody that it's spooky. You got the Trumpster smack dab in the middle. He's like the Christmas angel. Isn't that interesting? And of course you got, the Baphomet right next to him, which is the pentagram. Just, when you see that star, I can't help but see it everywhere I go. Once again, a symbol of witchcraft, symbol of, the great magician. In the Bible, there was this guy named Simon Magus. And he seemed to have all these powers, and he seemed to be following Jesus and everything else, but he was really he was making money off of it. But do you know what this holiday issue is based on? This is where it's a little more spooky. A lot of people probably won't tell you this, but the artist of the cover was a huge fan of Robinson Crusoe. I don't know if you know anything about Robinson Crusoe, but it's about a shipwreck. It's about like losing everything in a minute. It's about then being thrust into a land that you don't know, where there's no system that you're used to. It's about dealing with cannibals and spooky things and natives. It's about self-reliance. It's about being able to carry on without the benefits of all of the modern technologies that we enjoy today. And that was a little scary for me. What was even scarier for me, let me just blow this up. I'm just going to show you a couple of the images that I found to be interesting. Besides, of course, like the little rabbit here hidden away. See where see my cursor? The little rabbit right there. Ooh, spooky. You got the judge. They're all sitting on whales. But let me take a look. I want to show you this over here. you have a couple of penguins, which leads me to believe that this may have something to do with like Antarctica. I don't know why. Maybe it's because outside the window, if you could see, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more. There is a Frosty the Snowman, and Frosty the Snowman is melting. And the guy next to him, I don't know, it looks like he's got a glow stick or something. I don't know what's going on here. But I do see, you see all the wine? Because I guess Robinson Crusoe had something to do with the wine and the whale. It's been a long time since I've read it. But you do see a lot of people in here, and some of the things that you're going to see are just articles that they're going to talk about. You know, over here is buying shoes online from in Indonesia. All of these things, they start to add up, and you start to think this is something weird. You know what I found weird was that everyone who's holding a power tool, let me show you this, is a woman. See, that's a woman right there. Well, I mean, listen, I don't want to judge, you know. Maybe it's a guy in a man bun who looks womanly, but that's a woman holding a hand tool. And then over here, we got more women working with tools. I mean, look at this. Just interesting to me that not one man seems to be working. It's very strange. Here's another lady over here with the power tool. What are they trying to say here? What do you think? Am I looking too deep into this? I don't know. But how could I not when, you know, we have all of these interesting things happening? Especially at a time when well, let's just say I don't remember a time like this. So this double edition at The Economist magazine, I'm sure a lot of people are going to dig in more. But the fact that everything is released around this time, I find it beautiful. The longest, darkest night of the year, swallowed up in victory the next day. For the next 6 months, the daily hours of sunlight increase in the northern hemisphere, except for when there's going to be an eclipse. Now, you know that they do all sorts of spooky things on these holidays. All sorts of spooky things. So don't you think it's weird that you have like all sorts of weird anniversaries happening and all sorts of weird things happening? Space Force just celebrated its 4th year anniversary. 4 years! Check out that hat, by the way. What does that hat look like to you? Kind of looks like the Baphomet to me, but you know, and that's the legit Donald Trump Space Force logo and hat. That's the legit one. It's like, I'm not joking around. Well, you know, Tucker's been talking a lot about the aliens. He can't seem to get away from that. He's it's just on this kick, and he says that it's so disturbing that whatever we see, that's so disturbing that we would really not be able to handle it. And he thinks that Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, is holding us back. You know, that he thinks that people really should know what's going on. But he says that they're holding him back because this UFO story stuff really scares him. As Space Force celebrates its 4th anniversary. And I don't know if you remember correctly or not, but the Space Force, that a lot of people said that they have, like, I don't know. I'm not laughing because I find it amusing. It's just that this story gets so ridiculous. The more I talk about it, I mean, for crying out loud, we got like the U.S. debt clock every other day putting out these, you know, messages about like a jubilee and about the Lord and about the 4 angels of the apocalypse. What's happening? Right? What's happening? Well, I think that resurrection's happening. I think that that's what's happening. So I think that while Christ, you know, is going to be emboldened in you, this is what Paul talked about. It's like, I travail in birth. You know, we travail in birth. It's like, I wait, I suffer, I groan until Christ be formed in you. That's the day we're in, where Christ is formed, like where Christ takes over, we had that Revelation 12 sign. Do you remember it? Remember the Revelation 12 sign, September 23rd, 2000, I think it was 2017, where literally above, Jerusalem Virgo was crowned with like 12 stars. The moon was at her feet. The sun was shining. And that was supposed to be the moment where people were pregnant with possibility. Told everybody it takes a while, it takes a trimester. It takes like 40 days, 40 nights, 4 years or so, right? Until really that baby comes out and starts to be formed in the earth. 2020 in the Jesus story, which is strange because a star led people to Christ. Christ was in a manger. It's where the animals eat. It's like a feeding trough. Christ was there. There were shepherds in the field keeping watch over the flock at night, and they see this Revelation 12 sign and they're like, whoa! And they start singing hallelujah. They start telling everybody, hey, things are going to get better, but they're going to get worse. They got worse, but they got better. When Christ came into the world, they got worse, but they got better. There was an edict. They were looking for, this, they wanted to chop this Christ down. They wanted the nativity to go. They wanted to consume the nativity of Christ. They wanted to consume it. They're trying to consume it every day of the week with all of us too, getting us to focus on the wrong thing. If you sow to the flesh, you're going to reap of the flesh. If you sow to the spirit, you reap of the spirit. The day we're in is a day where you want to be sowing to the spirit, because this is the day where God gives us power. Breathes life into those witnesses so we could stand up on our feet again and show the mighty works of God and show, hey, look at what's happening in the world. It's all being exposed. Maybe the old gods are coming back. Maybe the Anunnaki are coming back. I don't care. Shouldn't bother you if spaceships show up. Maybe it's real. Maybe it's not real. None of it matters in the grand scheme of things. The only thing that matters is knowing that God is in control, and that if you love, it's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for you. But if you be corrupt, it ain't going to go so hot, as you see, which is happening right now for the Bidens. This is not good stuff that's happening. But once again, this is another thing that, I did say was going to happen. In fact, with the laptop as well, it's just strange. You start to look at, let me just blow this thing up. Even before we knew there was a laptop. And right now, the Mr. Biden is because of emails. This is a problem. He emailed. That's today's news. He emailed like a lot of people that were connected to his business dealings, and that's no bueno. Isn't that funny? Back here, Nebuchadnezzar's end time dream. End time dream. Strange. There he's carrying that laptop. It's all shot up. Thank you, Carrie Richardson and Lauren. Carrie says that he's not talking about aliens, but transhumanism is how technologies, people go, we'll talk about that on another show. But it looks like this wild, because I had this weird dream, and I wrote an essay in 2015 about a dome building and like a bunch of people running towards a movie, Harry Potter 3, Witchcraft. It's a witch hunt. So weird. Me now looking back and saying, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's why I had that weird dream. And then I wrote that essay back in 2007. Thank you, J.K. Bell. So good to see you. Weird to see all these things playing out, but looks like it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. And if you look at this video right here from a couple of years ago too, I said the writing was on the wall. A corrupt ruler will be replaced. And then Daniels, I said the lion's den awaits for the Christians or whatever. Or we'll say, no, let's put it this way. The lion's den awaits those that followed the Trumpster. And they were thrown into the lion's den. And guess what? Guess what the news is? I think that there's some kind of things. I don't think things were filed properly or something. I'm going to have to look more into it. But all these people that, made a big dumb mistake, like dumb. You don't follow the crowd like a dummy. You don't break the law. You follow the law. You can't win hearts and minds by not being able to win hearts and minds by following the rules in the land. Scriptures are very clear about it, that God places these governors and rulers, even if they're corrupt, above us, that we're supposed to subject ourselves to them. Doesn't mean that we do things that we know are wrong. It doesn't mean that, we can object to going and fighting into this or taking this, or we can object. But, if there's a rule, you can't do something, you can't do it. Don't do it. Find the way to do it so that no enemy can bring a fault against you, is what the scriptures say. But I said, and here we are. So is there going to be a Christmas surprise? I don't know. A lot of strange